Well, I mean, the main battle lines were definitely drawn during the 16-bit era of Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. I'd say the UK, again, the thriving arcade scene in the UK is what probably made it more of a Sega fertile area. Certainly, again, with myself, we all wanted to play the games in the arcades on the home system. And when you had Afterburner, Space Harrier, Hang On, all the Super Scalers, and all those type of games, Shinobi, come onto the Master System.
With the Sega Master System Plus special packs, you get the console, controllers, light gun, 2 games, and either Golden Axe or Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, absolutely free.
It were, the Nintendo Entertainment System wasn't really that relevant at the time. It was around. People had the NES, but certainly where I grew up, it was small fry compared to the Master System. What shook it all up was a Super Nintendo landing.
Even more enemies. The ultimate challenge is waiting.
Gosh, the Super Nintendo landed and it blew everybody's socks off. It really did. I mean, the Sega Genesis was still holding its own, but suddenly it had some genuine, real competition, and I have to say, the two games that really made the Super Nintendo's arrival prominent where I lived in the UK, in the middle of England, was Super Mario World, obviously. Because like we said, it was so easy to get into. But the other game, which was a real, I mean, looking back now with reflection, it's not really that good a port. But at the time, it were massive, and that was Final Fight. Again, because of that arcade background, so Final Fight was massive in the UK. It was you suddenly got an arcade machine where you were playing as the big bruisers. Hagar was a big, bulking bad boy.
Yeah.
And it looked like
Final Fight was awesome. Yeah.
It looked like a boss.
Our main review this week is Mortal Kombat 2 on the SNES. A year after the release of the original on the much-hyped Mortal Monday, the sequel hits the shops on the Game Gear, the Game Boy, the SNES and the Mega Drive, just in time for the new age rating system on computer games to kick in. So, the SNES version has got a certificate 15, but for the most part, the gore is no worse than a few red pixels stuck together to represent blood.
And what Sir Power was saying about Mortal Kombat and those type of games, you play with friends, and it became a genuine competition to impress these girls. You get these girls round, and they'd be playing Super Mario, and then you put Street Fighter 2 or Mortal Kombat on. You weren't playing just to beat your friend. You were playing to show off. And
you were playing
to
impress.
That's true.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that to me, when you're talking about the beauty of the actual era itself, that was the beauty of the era, because gaming was as much a social thing as it was a solitary thing. I'd spend all day on my Genesis with friends playing Streets of Rage and Mortal Kombat and those types of games, and then at night I'd still I'd pop whatever on Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy, Fantasy Star 2, 4, whatever it were. So it were, as an overall eclectic, it were a beautiful time for games, really. I want to echo your sentiments about emulation. Whilst we like to collect and we like to own the hard copies, play the games, enjoy the games. You know what I mean? If that means you've got to emulate, get emulating. Again, the mainstream gaming media, and it kind of limits what they perceive as the best games on these systems to quite a few. So many more out there. Just indulge and try and get past those first few difficult tries, and you will be rewarded. like I say, you will. There's plenty of games out there that if you persist with, I still play retro gaming more than I do